Hi.
Oh, that's the scale there.
Sorry, Mike.
Next life entertainment.
Getting boring.
How do?
Did you hear you? Yeah.
You're stuck in the middle.
I can't get out of here.
Oh, you're stuck in the middle.
I can't jump anymore.
You think I can bring a chair?
So for this splash pad.
Yeah, you need a chair?
I'm the one that's.
Yeah.
Here, we can move back here with Kathy's.
What?
You don't want my name's on. I'll just nibble a little bit. Okay.
Or, oh,
The
city boys do all that. Yeah.
To-
Follow me around, have them all in one bit.
Figure out what they
Take them off the track.
Yeah, I'm
We
not
also
done.
want to hear about.
They can take them off, check them
deadlines,
back. Right.
what we need, and things like that, and maybe if you can come this
Bro, I gotta go
Wednesday,
tell
out of the blue,
them.
or anything, or maybe we
I
could
can
call.
run her, I can get on that
Put
machine
you
and
on.
run around.
I'm
Oh, hi.
out the loads tomorrow.
I can
It
undo
says
them
16.
too.
Don't break them.
Yeah, at the elementary school, but we can always.
Just think by the hour.
Somebody's cell phone. Yeah. Well, we just want to hear him, so I'm gonna take notes and I also have.
I got a brand new
just
stuff,
so we
don't
can
I?
account. We probably need to be
Yeah, Randy.
and, you know, how we're gonna work.
Where the hell's my hat?
Finance first.
Where the hell's my hat? I gave you one.
We don't put expenses and then what
It was
we
in my
need
pickup.
for that grant. I mean, what kind of plan we need, type thing. So if you can kind of give us a general idea tonight.
She's been doing some research.
If you can give us some idea so that we know what we're discussing,
Yeah.
you know,
You keep an eye on her?
tonight and next Wednesday, you know, maybe just touch on a few things that we can, I can message them and say, you know, maybe we need this kind of paperwork, bring it along, so we're prepared for you when I'm going. Well, we don't have to, you know what I mean? So.
I worked at.
So when I come in,
Yeah, I worked at.
Does she have a cell phone? Well, it's better than calling, but.
Does she have a cell phone? Obviously.
So I want to let you know I have.
Great, that'd be great, then I can make copies of this, and then I can hand it out to everybody.
Because she don't remember driving.
But I still have a couple questions that I might throw out tonight, just so that I get something to tell them
Yeah.
tonight, next Wednesday. But it'd be nice if we could get somebody's phone number just to call.
Sure.
So if we do have questions, it may not be exactly at 6, you know, you could
Call
just,
911.
you know, if you're available,
Every time you go there, you can get a doctor. Well, but
That'd
if
be
you have
great.
your own doctor, then they know. With kindergarten. And it's convenient, but still.
And then she put down the next one, and she was on the phone with her sister.
Yeah, every time I drive by there, I'm like.
But now,
I'll put her in the hall.
well, she didn't want me to call her. She fell or got sick.
You don't want to leave them up,
It
and
was
then
in
something
the
happens
hospital
next year.
in February that year, that she would
Well,
be
even
coming
if she
down.
takes her cell phone, and they got little things to wear around it.
She did take out.
And she didn't call Julie.
Yeah, like she said, it was in her purse, but if she has one of those, the cell phone goes right in a little pouch.
Well, even just.
Mother-in-law leaves through the life alert about 4th of July.
Yeah.
Didn't Jody, did not Jody Gary get
Yeah.
2 of those for her?
Christmas is over, I can.
When she was in there in February a year ago?
If she did, or if he did. Never said anything.
No, she didn't say anything.
She needs to, be aware that she can call and not investigate, not wait a couple hours.
That's beer.
These kind of things.
You know, always that goes to say,
You crank right back.
If I have my process, but.
Oh, I totally understand.
14 or 16.
Yeah, it's 14.
Totally.
I'm gonna.
Did you stop by the house?
What?
Did you stop by the house?
We run online. Yeah, we just kind of look for the line for the winter.
I know.
When Andy's gone.
Travel's okay. I mean, wait, is there?
Where we scoop around.
What's that?
Might be going to Costa Rica in July.
Cool. We're going to Mexico, December. My wife, we went, 40 by our time. I'd like to make an annual.
I haven't been to Cozumel or
Just, this is Krista Baker,
Yeah.
employee.
That's Rogan's your
Wastewater.
Oh, no.
He's a Renaissance man in our wastewater.
That's a good diet, you'd be all right.
Yeah.
But
But when you start going in
do what
and
you're doing.
you get defiant, you get rebellious, you get disoriented, and then that's all.
Word. I mean, yeah.
Well, when you're not home and you're by yourself, I like that, and I've done that. I don't think I'm cooking. And
I don't either, but I've gotten this.
Well, you learn.
Yes, I did, I learned. And I don't want to go, and Jody gets on my leg. I literally don't know what's going on.
You're good? Don't need this turn off?
Oh, yeah, moving around a little bit. Yeah, there we go. We just make her like for the first question. Yeah, like, we would do more things if we could. Oh, I'm sure you will. Yeah, require that.
And I sent her away that she
Yeah, that's what I thought, you know. There's a backside also. Okay, it's a stack. They should go through that. They're always
I'm gonna grab my stuff here. All the parts.
There's a whole bunch out there.
Yeah.
I sure over there by Justin's. May or may not like.
Yeah, he's on the other side, but he's on here.
Right?
A public hearing on, to move money to buy a new dump truck. You got any comments?
need a motion to close the public hearing, Wendy? We don't need one, she said.
Don't need one? No, then I guess we can just move on then. Is that right? Okay, everybody read the minutes of,
And I make the motion to accept the minutes from April 12th, 2022, and
I'd like to have a second.
I make a motion to approve the minutes from April 12th, 2022 and March 22nd, 2022.
perfect.
I'll second it.
all in favor? Passes.
So I had a question about Boyer gravel. Is that why are we getting rock from Boyer instead of Taylor?
I was told to get it. They told me to get it from Boyer.
I was just curious because I thought we normally got it from Taylor or
It's,
Atlas, I think, right? That's where we get the back road.
well, Boyers have cleaner gravel, and that's the reason.
Okay. Is the North 40 Clifford?
Yes.
Okay. It wasn't very much, so yeah.
Wasn't very much.
So there's a Taylor gravel on here, what was it for then?
1.5 minus.
Oh, okay.
It was for bigger rock. Because there's certain holes around town that
Right.
gotta put bigger rock down and then put the smaller rock and it blocks the
For
road.
base rock, right.
And then Blue Mountain's for the mower, just in case you want to know.
I'll make a motion to accept the payables for the month of April 2022.
I'll second.
All in favor? Passes. Dodd? Yeah. We're ready to. Sure.
Thanks, Mayor, Council, Dodd Snodgrass, Clearwater Economic Development Association. First, I want to introduce Krista Baker. So Krista's our new community development specialist. And the good news is you're going to see more of her and less of me, because she'll be involved with the wastewater project, with the city and with Keller, and working through, because things are going to start moving here. So I'll be working with her, but she'll be taking it on. We're here this evening, though, to talk about the splash pad. We're kind of revisit. This is a project that came up several months ago, and council, we talked about briefly, a little bit about the committee working on it. So I wanted to come back at this time and talk about what that looks like, to put together that project, the grant, and then how we can assist. So this is the grant program, same grant program, block grant that's funding the wastewater project, but it's a different category, it's Parks grant category. We've talked about potlatch before. The splash pad and potlatch was funded by that grant and put in by the city. If the city's interested in putting a splash pad in Centennial Park, the process would be working with the committee to fundraise. The logistics of the park, like where would it go? How's it going to hook up to the infrastructure there? So kind of the park setup, and part of what Krista can do is help evaluate the park for accessibility and different things. There's a process to go through an inventory to do that work. So we work through those steps to make sure it's eligible for the grant. So there's the engineering part of it and the connection and what that looks like, and then cost estimating. This grant program, the grant awards, they've raised the level this year. It's up to $250,000. You may not need $250,000, but that's what the grant is, and then there's gonna be match involved. And then Krista's been reaching out to some of the splash pad companies. There's, how many you know about?
I have 5 on my list right now, that I've done some research with.
So she's collecting information on costs. Some are like packages, you can buy a kit. That's what Potlatch did. It was Rain Deck.
Rain Deck.
They bought the kit, it was delivered, the city installed it. Some, well, you can order the kits and they will install it, so there's different variations to put those together. So there are those resources. So she's pulling that together to help you, look at those kinds of options. These grants are due in September. I think it's the 3rd Thursday or Friday. You can apply, and we talked about this before, you can apply for this grant, receive this grant, even though you have the wastewater project. So, except for the fact you have 2 grants on your plate, we will work with you through all that stuff, but it's okay to do that. Then Krista also has, she gave Bonnie she found a resource guide on process to evaluate splash pad sites, and maybe I'm saying some of the things that are in there, but it's kind of a how-to guide to look at it. And I know you have a committee advocating for it, but just so you know, this will be a city project, and the city will own and operate it. So that's how this grant program works. It'd be a city facility, whatever you work out in terms of like the operation and the cost, you need to evaluate that, but it's a city project. But in a lot of cases, like in Cottonwood, we work with them on a restroom. There's a city, community group there, the VFW helped raise money. And it's always good to have a community group backing if they want families, park users. It looks really good. It's clearly something if the community would want and be involved in. So that's kind of the nuts and bolts. And if you want us to work with you and meet with the committee and help move things along, but we're here to answer any specific questions as we get into this.
So if we use the full 250, what is our percentage of match?
That's a good question. It's kind of a moving target because there are different ways you could make contributions to it. So cash is always king, it depends what the whole cost looks like, but there's in-kind. So if the guys work, like help install it, or there's grading, all that stuff, that's value in the project. So we calculate how much value is city time or volunteer time. So I don't have a magic match figure. I'd like to say it's 50-50, and I'm not saying it's a $500,000 project. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that up to that amount, or it might be 30%, because there's a lot of factors involved. Demand for projects. And then when we apply, it's not like there's cash in the bank. You have a pledge, typically as a community group saying we're raising this amount of money, and the city will back it, and the city says we will commit. If you do, you commit cash resources, and then basically it's available when you build the project. When it's awarded, and they're saying at some point the money's in the bank and you get it done. But there's elements of cash. There's donated city time, volunteer time, different ways to package that.
So there's a water treatment system that comes along with that, correct? Kind of like a swimming pool?
A little package, I guess you could get, it has to tie into your system, so there's a pump and there's a recirculation system, and so
Okay.
that's probably an element.
Yeah, the one at Potlatch.
Yeah.
The one I looked at, it goes back through there. It's kind of a little, chlorine back
Yeah.
through, so it was very, very interesting to go through it.
And that's the engineering element. That's where, you have a city engineer working with you, maybe that's something they can help you look at, because those things have to be known ahead of time, and then the siting, grading, all those things before you get too far into it. Is it feasible to put it in the park area? So looking at the park, I'm not exactly sure where you might put it. I think the one in Potlatch is 40 by 50, something like that size. So
Yeah, if I remember right, that's what it is,
1,500, 2,000 square feet.
something like that.
Yeah, I assume they make smaller ones, right?
Yeah, I'm sure you can.
Yeah,
Right,
you can
there's-
size them out, you can custom build them. So the ones that I've been researching, you can design it out yourself, and then the company will come and put it together for you too. So there's all kinds of different options. Or there is just package ones. I mean, I was researching some that were just like 2,500 square feet, and they just come with all of the I guess contraptions, whatever you wanna call them, all of the fixtures with them. Or you can just custom build them, design them yourselves. So these companies will work with you.
Okay, maybe this is an engineer question, but are there issues if there are water reductions or shortages? Are there issues even though it's recycled? Are there issues with evaporation, or if the city does have to issue, a water shortage? Are there issues with running out of water and not actually running one?
Yeah, that's,
It
I-
only
I-
runs
Yeah.
a few minutes at a time.
it's on a timer, right? They
Yeah, it's on a
different have a
timer.
button or
And
something.
then we have to restart it.
And a lot of them that I was researching, they were like push button ones, so a kid actually had to run up and push the button, and that would make the water run for a couple of minutes or a few seconds, however long, and then so the children actually activated it, so it was part of the play in it, and so it wasn't just constantly running.
Another question too, and this might apply to bigger cities, but there's been like, with recycled water, there's been issues of like amoebas and so forth. Where people
what?
got, amoebas, where people got sick in New
Okay.
York and in Texas, the CDC has it on their website.
Uh-huh.
So I don't know if that's just a bigger city issue because there's feces involved with young children and so forth, and the water recycling through. They use one solution, and again, this is a big municipality, I think New York had, where they had ultraviolet light all night long or something.
Oh, actually in their splash pads?
Yeah, but they would run at night, and the idea is that it kills whatever's left over from the day.
Oh, yeah, I was seeing that, most of these companies that I was researching did have that UV light
Okay.
in them, so.
That's part of the reason. Those are good questions.
Yeah,
Part of things to
no,
look
these
at.
are great questions, yeah.
Yeah.
One more question.
Yeah.
So if our maintenance crew is involved in the maintenance, is it generally a lot of maintenance? I mean, is it something they would have to look forward to committing a lot of hours to, or?
I haven't talked to Mayor Brown about how it's gone for
I
them.
talked to him about it, and it's not much.
Probably easier than a pool.
It
I
was
would
there, and they have that little building there,
Mhm.
and it has their pumps and everything in it, that, their chlorators and all, and it's, what he said was almost maintenance free, because it's just, this kind of circulator and all the different pumps, the water sprays around different little items, and people run through it, and the kids, and, well, even grown-ups. When I was there, grown-ups was in it.
Yeah, they built a wall around, I don't know if they talked about the ways to raise money, you could have bricks, donation, ways to dedicate, there's lots of ways to, add features in.
Yeah, they just.
I think Laytag Realtors help them with the bench, and I'm trying to think some other sources. My only cautionary tale, that they did a lot of the work themselves, the mayor himself and Marty, and it's almost better to spend a little bit more and have some professional assistance to do it. I mean, you probably in the city know, but something to consider running through different scenarios, because it took a long time to kind of get through it, because they wanted to do it themselves. And it worked out great in the end, but a little challenging.
How soon do we have to get this grant started? That's my question. We don't wanna end up losing out on getting this grant, or do we have, I'm assuming we'll have to wait till next spring or something, I don't know.
No, it's in September, we'd get it done. I mean, for us to write it, it's like we can do that. If you're working with your committee, and Krista, there's a survey and ways to do it. Part of the job of the wastewater plant, that we have to, that she's gonna do is a ADA assessment of the community. And so there's a park inventory, and so we're gonna have to look through like sidewalks, the Paul Park, all that stuff for accessibility. And so that's part of this park inventory that has to get done.
Right.
But, there might be some out of pocket for, if there's some engineering assessment or, you know, we have a grant writing fee, it's like the last one, and, you know, so we've been really successful with these. The main thing is the fundraising and the commitment to put together and just, you know, our job is to make sure you guys we get all the answers out, get it out early, get things investigated, so that you know
Right.
it's something you wanna go through.
Yeah. So, like I said, we're having a meeting next Wednesday at 6 p.m. If anybody else is interested at the elementary school, to talk about it and see where we wanna go with this. So I've taken notes for them right now, but there's about 10 of us on the committee so far, but we can always use an extra hand or two, so. Anybody that wants to show up,
So I have a question. I noticed like, during our fall months, we have a lot of residual groundwater down there. Now, is that gonna create any issues with, like, any parts of this? Cause like part of that by the gazebo is really wet. Yeah, so there's, I mean, if that continues, like it's, yeah, like it doesn't properly drain, we're a little more clay than sand.
We would need to do a compaction test before we did anything down there, I believe. Take a look and see how the ground's gonna hold up before we put any sort of concrete down there.
Yeah, cause you have to excavate the pad, the concrete, Malin, Kimmer's last name, he did the concrete work for Powell, I expect it was drier, but they had to excavate and do a pad, and then it's kind of drainage concrete, but you're right, Josh, probably soil, you gotta evaluate the property down there, make sure it's gonna be suitable for that, and then the utility hook out everything, so you're not caught by that later.
I just wanna say that despite my best effort to be the Scrooge of the town, this is a very popular thing. I just want everyone to know everything about it, costs, the reality. But it's very popular.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
We need skeptics, yes, or this is always the kind of thing we don't like, when to be honest and straightforward about what it takes to put these together,
So Bonnie, is your group going to like, I mean, should we even investigate it to see if it's possible?
I worry about the fundraising, how much we're gonna be able to fundraise. If we can't fundraise enough for the library, I worry about splash pad.
Well, the library was.
But I know, but still, people doing fundraisers for that kind of stuff, that's my fear.
Well, I'm working,
We can raise.
I just wanna make sure that we're not getting into something that, like, if we, you know, how much is it? Because we have to bring it up to ADA compliant, correct?
No, I don't wanna make you think you have to do everything in the park, it's just part of the it's just part of the plan to do that. I mean, splash pad's gonna be accessible with the way it's built. So, but sometimes it's a way to take care of things like paths. You know, I know this year, restroom's a whole nother thing. But I don't know if that's, you know, that's accessible, and if there's any issues there. But this is kind of a standalone project in that respect.
I'm just worried about, like, if we can pass the compaction test to put the concrete in.
Well, she just start and
See where we go?
Yeah.
Have you guys started with anything yet? Have you had any meetings?
we've been just messaging each other right now,
So
because
this
it's
is
kind
your
of
first
just,
meeting in person?
because we wanted to talk to CEDA and kind of find out where we want to go, and then, so we're gonna have our first actual in-person meeting next Wednesday at 6. If you guys want to show up, feel free to show up, just to eavesdrop. I don't think any of it. I know Lane Burnett's on it, and so she knows a lot about all the things that we need to do, just because of,
Where is it at grade school?
Right, the lunchroom, right?
I think it is.
Usually they do the lunchroom.
Yeah, and, then we can kind of let them know, I'm gonna make copies of this for everybody on the committee. We'll have to decide what we're gonna do, we have to have a separate checking account, and stuff like that. So, I know that they were talking about trying to get a table at the Locust Blossom, but it's kind of late right now. So, but we plan on doing some stuff, different things, and I'm sure at the Blackberry Festival, we'll probably have a table or whatever, blackberry pies, whatever.
Okay.
Well, we just started and see how it goes.
Well, I think we've got a good group, because they're all coming up with great ideas. It's just making sure that everybody has time to get it done, so.
You know, is the rec district a resource, or are they involved with the pool, pretty much?
They're pretty
Right.
much involved with the pool, but we could maybe get them involved.
You have an advantage of the rec, not every community, Potlatch does, their rec district did contribute to the pool project there.
Yeah, because
Not every community has a rec district, so it is a I don't know what the finances are.
because JK Rec has upped our,
And the park and rec.
from 1,000 to
They
2,000,
are
so.
very flexible with their, I've dealt with them several times.
The rec, they meet 4 times a year, and if you call Chantel, she'll tell you when the next meeting is.
Okay,
It's super easy to get on their agenda and super easy to fill out an application.
okay,
And you're
perfect.
talking to local businesses too.
Yeah,
Yeah, he is too.
And, you know, this is one of the projects with parents, it's like selling, you know, when we got the Girl Scout cookies, you know, while it's open quickly.
And there's
So-
Aaron Heineman that you can also contact too.
Yeah.
who?
Aaron Heineman, Heineman,
Heinen,
Heineman, yeah.
feels good to you.
That's how
That
it's
was
going
close.
in Cottonwood, so we got a grant for their restroom, that started out, the VFW wanted to have an events gazebo basically, and we attached it to the restroom, made it a restroom project, because they needed a restroom, and we turned out this little cabana, well, so that's gonna move forward, and then the other people in the community got really excited, so we need to upgrade the playground, so basically one person in the community was he paid for an architectural drawing to look at the playground, and he said, we need a splash pad too. But that started with the block grant in the restroom in that case, and then all this other stuff happened, and I'm just, you know, we had a call about the ballpark too, about the lights, you know, so once these things start, it generates a lot of enthusiasm, and you know, just driving by now with the ball games, it's a huge, you know, a huge thing down here, I don't tell you that, but it's pretty exciting to see when people, you start with one thing and other things come in and all pieces in.
What do we need to make an action item out of that?
If you want to move forward with this project.
Well, I think we need to move forward with it and see what, you know, see how many people want to be involved and how much
I kinda thought we already had anyway.
yeah.
Yeah, and basically it was just that, making sure that we would get a spot through the city was what you guys had done the action on. So, the rest, I guess, is kind of up to us, and then once we get stuff figured out. we
Where
can
are you
keep
wanting to
going.
put it down at the park?
So,
By the volleyball?
I think
That
that's
is?
what we want.
As far as the engineering and all of that, preliminary type work to see if it would even work there, is that all done prior to applying for the block grant, or is that paid for with block grant money?
It can be, you know, if there's engineering involved in doing it, but if there's some work, I mean, it's worth the investigation up front, you know, looking at that, so I know what that might take, but it's like the compaction, the connect, and it may not be much involved, but you may have to invest a little bit of money up front if some of those questions have to be investigated.
Well, I move to table this until next month after Bonnie's meeting and see how much support she has and what kind of ideas they have. Maybe they can come to the meeting next month and let us know, because if we're gonna have to pay out of pocket to find out if this will work, we wanna make sure we have enough community support.
You gotta have the support, besides that, it has to be budgeted.
Yeah.
I second.
All in favor? Passes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Dodd.
Dodd.
Okay, Kelly.
Ellie, you're up.
do you need me to be over there?
You need to stand up.
June 14th is next.
All right, see you later.
Thank you.
I don't know,
I'm
that's
Kelly
like.
Umbenauer, resident of Riverview Drive, and we would just, the residents of Riverview Drive would like to use the dust abatement company that the city uses. put product down on the road with our own money.
Well, I'll tell you how the other people, how the other people do it. Up above, all the citizens get together and they pay to have it done.
Right,
They pay
right.
they just divide it up and how many people you got out
Yeah.
there. You just,
That's what we
when
want
they
to do.
come to town, well then you can
Yeah.
just, they can do all of it at one
Perfect,
time.
we just want to be on the list.
So you just
guys
want to, when
know
ours
when
comes
they're
through,
coming,
you
or-
want to be on it.
Yes.
We can,
So
we
what
can
are-
have you piggyback, just like,
Okay, perfect.
like Chuck Christopher did last time, correct?
And that's what
Yeah,
they wanted to
and
do.
it was 30 cents a foot.
Okay,
So if you guys can come up with a number, of all the stuff you wanna do, then when we order it,
okay,
because they're coming from, up north,
okay,
and if you can get a good number, then we can add it to ours,
okay,
and they can come down prepared.
okay.
Kelly, do you want to borrow my wheel?
Yes, I do.
So what do we?
No, I'm kidding, no, I don't.
We'll give you the measurement.
We have not,
Oh, you still cooler?
but, we just got gravel down on the road, so.
So if you'll,
I would love it to.
Oh, yeah, baby.
I'll just use Google Earth. Google Earth, and you just click.
Just set
And
this.
then-
Do that again.
Might need a server.
You can do it, Kelly.
You can borrow the wheel if
I
you want.
appreciate it. Everybody wants to do it.
So you can have nice things just
We had Chuck Christopher.
okay, so I wasn't sure
Piggyback
if
with
this
us
was
last
the
time.
thing that had to come before, or
Yeah,
if it
yeah,
was
it's not a
their
big deal.
decision, so.
So do we need to make a decision, like a motion or something?
If you wish, but it doesn't sound like it's.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Is okay.
just contact because they bring a whole, semi-load or
Perfect.
well, I guess we're
Figured out.
you want to, you're the head of it.
You,
Do you wanna speak about the your recommendation on the planning and zoning?
Well, Justin wrote the letter for us, so you have the letter, right?
Maybe Justin,
Yeah.
you want
You guys
Justin.
have the letter?
Yes.
You can go over the letter,
Okay.
and then I copy of it.
Okay.
You don't remember it?
he didn't memorize it.
I wrote the letter, but I didn't memorize it. So,
Oh, right.
at this time, the KJ Planning and Zoning Commission is finished with the public hearing and the comments and everything for the Smith subdivision. Our recommendation is to approve the subdivision with a few recommendations that we did talk about at the public hearing. And so the recommendations are on the letter. There's 6 conditions. And the city can decide to, enforce those or give a variance or whatever the city council wants to do. But we drew those conclusions out of a lot of discussion and a lot of debate and a lot of time. So, and I know that the surveyor is here. If you guys have any questions tonight, you can ask any questions. Terry Golden, Jim's here, Kathy's here. Everybody involved out there is pretty much here tonight. So if you want to, if you read through this and you have any questions tonight, you might be able to ask that. I know that there still needs to be a public hearing by the city before you can actually pass anything. So, and I believe that has to be 15 business days out, so.
So I had you go first.
Well, Kathy,
Yes.
is your corner, is it situated so that you approve of it?
I have not gotten in contact with, I have no idea. They have not contacted me. After repeated emails saying that they had it all agreed and it was all done, Jim approached me after the planning and zoning meeting. There were people there in this room that heard what he had to say, and I have not heard another word.
So So that corner, your corner there is still not solved.
That is correct.
So,
Also, I got two things about the map that we've given.
okay, I was just gonna ask, because it says the surveyor's notes 3, 4, and 5 are to be
Yeah.
removed, is
Yeah,
that what
and
you're?
they're still on here, and, you look at this, originally we had a map with the elevations on it, and the elevations are off the map now.
Right,
They're
you
supposed
can
to
see by how complicated it gets, there's,
Well, they're still supposed to be on there. And you put the easements, you put the notes, and you didn't put the easements on the map.
well, you saw that I sent you one big copy of just lots and road, and then one big bunch of copies of lots, roads, and easements.
I haven't got the notes.
Is
We
this
got them
one
off in the
different?
city.
Well, that's
Well,
not me.
That's really,
I assumed that this.
there's one with a whole bunch of lines on it, easement lines everywhere. It'll be 11 by 17, I think.
If this, in other words, this map is not
Correct.
completed.
I just thought these were bigger copies of
Oh,
that.
they are, so far. Okay, here's one where there's some,
So that's, should be on there.
should be on the other one.
I wanted to give you a couple of clean
Oh, you got-
copies, so you can see the lot configuration.
Yeah, we had 2 pages.
No, I got two pages.
So these are like 4 pages.
This one's
Four
not-
pages.
No, it says
No,
sheet one,
these are different copies.
sheet two.
Yeah, this one,
Oh, I see.
see that? This one doesn't count it. But this one does show some lines down here.
We have it all there, there's an empty space that's lines.
Right.
And we didn't need all those lists of easement notes, because we just were requesting that you put on the easements on the map showing where the city utilities, the city water, that we didn't need the listing of where undefined roads were.
Yeah, I've got them listed on that one.
Yeah, I know you did, we also got that
Yeah, I'm sorry you
information.
didn't get a
It's just we
copy of that.
needed to have the maps and on all of them, because we need to keep a copy for ourselves. Have you got all of the actually shown here now? This
On
water
the
line,
recommendation, I did strike one line on there that's not on your copy, and it's the line that says, the plat includes a 50-foot road, wide road easement, which is required by the city, and then it says, I struck with the center line in the middle of the existing road bed. So you can cross that off on there, because that is a constriction that doesn't need to be on there. It may not be the center someday. It doesn't matter, it just, we don't, if you say it's the center line, then all of a sudden it has to be the center line. So you can strike that off, and I fixed it on our master copy.
Hey Justin, do you know if the residents out there agree to a homeowner's road agreement or not?
I don't know. Jim and Terry were possibly, and the homeowners were possibly gonna draft one themselves. We recommended that there be one, and that they draft one, but at this time, I don't know if there's one written up.
But it's a condition of approval for you guys, right?
Well, it is conditional
I've got one,
of our.
I've got one drafted up for you. So, it's a legal description of the road and road maintenance and repair condition.
So for all who own land on there, would that be their decision to make, or would that be the city's decision?
It's, I don't believe it's the city's decision.
the city, they have to decide, because otherwise you're just snipping the public road, the private road up into little bits, and there isn't any agreement about who's gonna maintain and everything, and down the line, you're gonna need to have something, homeowners road.
So that's an agreement, if they make the agreement, or like you said you have it written up already, Terry. So then if down the road it becomes not agricultural, because I see you said that if it's agricultural, that it's fine to stay private. So then, is there a clause in there that once it becomes,
So the city can decide at any time, I believe, if to take it, to accept the road if it's given. But then, the reason we're not recommending that in ours is because it is agricultural, and then it would involve significant costs up front for the developer to re-engineer the entire road up to city ordinance. So we left that out, we're not requiring that. But in the future, the city, yes, if the city accepts the road and the homeowners don't wanna do an agreement, a road agreement, they want it to be a public road and there's gonna be more building, then the city will have to cross that bridge later. And it sounds like there's already some kind of agreement going on if they already all decided to pay for the abatement. So it sounds like they're kind of working together now anyway, but.
I have a question. Was it decided where the actual city limit is? That was a big question at the planning and zoning.
I was relying, I believe the planning and zoning was relying on Terry for that answer because of his surveying.
Okay.
We kind of, sort of decided that it was a major line. Is it Meridian? No, not Meridian.
No, maybe it's
Well, yeah, it's a,
Township line,
it's
the
a
northern
north-south
boundary.
line there.
It's a boundary line that's already there.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that's not final, but there's still time.
Well, let's say,
But that's not the edge of the city.
No,
That's a
it's not the
section
edge of
there.
the city.
Edge of the city is
So
the
like-
north-south line.
But, yeah, it's not the edge of the city limits.
that's just.
Okay. Is it known where the edge of the city limit
So
is?
this is.
Well,
According to everybody but a few people in this room.
Is that something
You've
that
gone back, Terry, to calling this a county, end of a county road here,
Yeah.
but it can't be. The
Every-
state
every
statute
map
says
that I have-
that if a road is in the city, it has to be a city road.
Every map that I have and every legal description talks about the county roads, so I did that to
Someplace.
refer back to them.
But there are no county roads in the city.
Yes, sir, a document that the city accepts as all county roads.
The state statute says
Just
that
Yeah, I'd like to see that one, because I'm not.
For in the December meeting minutes, December 14th, the city said that the city street, the road must be brought up to city standards with an engineer's approval.
Title 50.
How come you guys mediated from that?
Title 50, chapter.
This is in the, sorry, Justin, that is in the code, but it is in the residential area, that's where that applies.
So
It doesn't
because-
say that in the agricultural zone.
That's why they're saying because it's agricultural.
They wanna keep it agricultural, that way they don't get into that.
What would make it change to residential? Like, what constitutes residential versus
If
agricultural?
there's a zoning change, and the zoning change, someone would have to petition for a zoning change, a resident or a developer, if they wanna put more housing out there. So if they wanna start splitting lots down, putting more housing out there, then at some point it will have to become a city street, it would have to become a residential area. And, yes, and Jim has done a lot of reworking of that corner, which isn't certified by an engineer, but because it's not in the city, it's not, I mean, that code doesn't really apply.
Well,
Matt,
it's in
could
the
you come up
city,
here for a
it's in
second?
agriculture.
Can you come up here for a second? I have a question for Matt. So, now, in the code, it says that Matt's driveway has to touch a city road, is that correct? Or will it be fine going on to a private road? As far as planning and zoning? And you're at this one?
Yep.
And then,
It's gonna come right through the corner of Jim's property right here. Come up to the little property.
so,
So, the city utility that runs through there is 15
is it what?
The city utilities that runs through there. So his road will connect to the easement, but it won't be connected to the city road.
His driveway,
But Dan Kelly and Slee also have a driveway that's not connected to the city road.
36 feet.
Grandfather.
Access. Just, the reason why is to meet enough elevation slowly versus coming out in the private road and going straight up. And then
Pretty steep right there.
So we're like getting elevation slowly.
It could be up.
So we turn around, right on the other side.
I've grown many a times. So, yeah, it's steep.
You've been paying attention to 11. So you're gonna get them 0, maybe 2 zeros. Okay.
Sorry, there. There's two rolling swells there. The top graph of the map might show it. But we'll come up and go around one swell, so basically dead center in the middle of the property.
where that road will end up.
National.
So do you remember that, if that becomes a sticking point, if Matt's driveway becomes a sticking point,
Thank you.
being
I
connected
do
to
it
the
for
city
him.
road,
Yeah.
can you draw one of those easement
Matt's driveway
arrows like you
crosses
did?
my land. Matt's driveway has a private easement with me.
No, not this Matt.
Oh,
The
that
new
man.
driveway, sorry.
Sorry, there's two of them.
Do you remember how you drew that easement line, like from way down, like down at Kelly's and up in ours, and you had those easement lines come all the way out to the city street?
Well, it shows on the map, or I'm not sure.
But remember when you did that? I mean, could that solve his problem if you?
Just have them all access the city easement.
That's what I
You
wrote.
guys are kind of dedicated.
Where's the city easement? Where's the city
Jim's kind of
easement?
dedicated you
It's-
guys the city easement over that 50-foot strip all the way up there.
It's in the, kind of in the middle, it's on kind of the right side of the road, then it crosses over Jim's and yours and goes right next to Matt Anderson all the way out that field.
City easement does? Not on my property.
Yeah, I showed it to you. Remember when TDS dug through there?
That's not, that, no, that isn't it.
They'll argue all that.
Not according to two different surveyors.
Well, that
And
map,
even if you look at where he says his property is, the road is still mine.
well,
And this is a surveyor.
there is a city road.
There's a small piece of blacktop that's on Kathy's property. I think that's what she's referring to.
So if that's a city easement, and he wants that to be recognized by the city, what were they doing messing with the road without permission?
The city gave Jim permission to.
To dig up on there, to dig
to-
up the pavement and everything and not replace it?
Well, I don't know if he dug up any pavement, but,
Yeah, he did.
No, I did not.
but he dug up,
I beg to differ and I have it on video, if you'd like me to show you.
he dug up, I know.
So
he dug
just to
up-
clarify, Justin, can I ask you a question? So if conditions, guys, hold on, guys, come on, maintain order. If condition one has not been met, does that mean that it is not approved? This is not something that there is a recommendation by planning and zoning?
We're still recommending that it be resolved. It's up to you to decide whether they can go ahead with it without resolving it or not.
Well, this says approved with conditions, so there's a condition that hasn't been met, so therefore it can't be approved. You're saying, or you guys don't approve.
We don't approve anything, we have no
We
power.
make recommendations.
That's what I mean, is
We're
it,
making recommendations that these things be done.
this is what I'm saying though, is it, can you say it's a recommendation if it didn't meet your condition? Is it something you're saying you were recommending?
We're
We
recommending
were
that.
told that it would be met.
Mhm.
We were told
And if
that
it's-
all of these conditions would
If
be
it wasn't, therefore, it's not something you're recommending the city to do. Because recommendation means city, we think you should do this.
Right,
Right.
So, if your condition wasn't met, you're telling the city you shouldn't do this.
right.
Okay, that's what I thought.
And also on the surveys notes, they're still there, the ones we request to be removed.
You see they are renumbered, you see that, right?
Oh,
Well, changing the number's not what we meant. We
Yeah.
have
I
here,
think we should just make.
So delete 3 there and
I
then
have
the
no
next
idea.
one 4.
yeah, 3, 4, 5, and that's what's on there.
What was the problem with all these people?
It's hard for me to figure it all out.
Oh, one shows not separate ones, but what, that's not supposed to be.
I'm gonna make a
on
motion,
anymore.
hey, you guys, we're gonna make a motion that we're gonna table this until you guys have it figured out and clean and brought to us without any arguments throughout the whole meeting.
Second.
Thank you. Moving on.
The next one. You guys failed to explain what problem.
Well, I guess the,
Jim will probably be hearing from my attorney just to warn him.
Involve their corner issues.
We've already, I had the title company that's not an ownership, I had the title company review it, and we know where the line is. So that's indisputed. And you're talking about, do you have 2 surveyors that say it's different?
Yes, I do.
I talked to both of them.
Oh, you did?
Yes, guys.
Yeah, you didn't.
We're in the middle of a meeting.
You did.
Maybe
Thank
private
you
lawsuit.
thank you for showing up.
Thank you for coming.
One you don't even know about, yeah.
Oh my gosh. It just doesn't stop.
Let's,
The ordinance.
the ordinance.
Lost our train of thought.
Okay.
not be read by title only.
Yeah, we'll have to have a motion to suspend the rules and have it read by title only.
I move to suspend the rules of ordinance 2022-01. Suspend the rules.
I'll second.
Got it. Second, all in favor?
So it's read by title only.
Who seconded?
I did. Wendy put an aye.
I know who you are. Then why do I am? This is ordinance number 2022-01. An ordinance of the City of Julietta, Idaho, amending ordinance 2021-03, the appropriation ordinance for the fiscal year beginning October 1, 2021, and ending September 30, 2022, appropriating additional monies that have been received by the City of Julietta and budget reallocations in the sum of $125,000 and providing an effective date.
Do we have a motion and a second?
I'll make a motion to accept the ordinance 2022-01.
I'll second it.
And we have a second, all in favor?
We have to have a roll call, right?
Roll call vote.
Oh, roll call, vote, okay.
Yes.
Wendy?
Yes.
Vicky, Wendy?
Yes.
No.
Passes.
I think you're up, Bonnie, about the CDs.
No, we're on number 9.
Oh, sorry, I skipped 9.
Well, sewer can, right?
Sorry.
Justin.
Sewer can.
The sewer cameras?
Yes.
Oh.
Sewer can.
So, Jake Lester, the Kendrick City News person, he found a sewer camera system that he would like to purchase. And it's about $20,000, and it's very similar to the one he operated when he worked for Roach Construction. So he asked me if the City of Julietta would go half on it, and we could share it like we do the sweeper. So there would be an agreement right now, and we would share it like we do the sweeper. I think it's a good idea for several reasons. The main one being is it has a locator. And so right now, we don't really have any way of locating sewer lines except witching, which isn't exactly. From our experience with 2 telephone and fiber companies, it's not the best way. This is exact. You can take the locator, you can follow the camera as it goes down the pipe. And so we haven't run across any homeowner who knows exactly where their sewer line is in general. Usually it's been bought and sold and no one knows where their sewer line. So for one, it'll be locating. 2, our wastewater treatment plant project, DEQ, they're going to be requiring us to do an updated facility plan like we did for the water plant. And they're going to, the next project after that is the collections system. So that an analysis of every single sewer line in Julietta and the condition and da-da-da. So if we have our own camera and our own system to do it, it'll be a lot less expensive than hiring an outside company to come in and do all of that as well.
What would this come out of? What fund?
We're gonna take, thinking about taking it out of the ARPA fund because wastewater is taking the first 64,376. Anyway, we have a total of $129,680 that we're getting from ARPA. We'll get the next 600 in a couple of months. Now, we haven't used any of it. So if we use 10,000 of that, we still have 54 that we can use for other things. Administration, parks, there's certain criteria, but we did the revenue replacement, which was really easy, so we really don't have to send in invoices and do a lot of uploading and stuff. All we have to do is what we spent it on and how much we have left of that. So, I recommend that you use the ARPA fund, because that's what it's for. The water, wastewater, and things like that, so.
It's hilarious watching you guys do the waste thing, but this is a better idea, honestly.
Well, the real thing is when you stomp your foot, you hope that it's 4 feet down. It could be 6 feet down or 2 feet down or.
Thumper?
I'll make a motion to approve the joint. Here.
I second.
All in favor?
And I promise you, the first time we set foot on your property and locate your plugged line, you'll be the happiest person on the planet.
You wanna,
Yes.
I'm not exactly sure. I mean, yes, they agree, but I don't know if they had a meeting about it yet.
I was just curious.
I'll find out.
Bonnie, you
I recommend that we do the next 6 months, just because interest rate has gone up a tad, but not enough, where we should lock in for longer than 6 months.
I agree, so.
Go ahead.
I make a motion that we just stay for the 6 months on the CDs.
I'll second.
So they'll come due at the end of December.
You nominate Mike
you
and me.
wanna nominate Mike for the planning and zoning.
Okay. We recommend is that Mike?
Yes.
Oh, planning and zoning. I thought it was the Wells Fargo thing.
Do you wanna do it again, Mike?
I've had plenty of practice against it.
That's
stupid still on your forehead.
For KJ Planning and Zoning Commission.
I'll second.
All in favor?
You got it, Mike.
Mike, you're approved.
Hey, Mike, you next.
Up on the Wells Fargo credit card.
Okay. As you all know, down there at the store, they had to change ownership and they changed suppliers for fuel. And we have lost our access to 24-hour fuel. And the CHS Prime Land card is a museum piece now. So the fire department is looking to obtain a credit card to get around that so that we can still obtain fuel 24 hours. Also, we'd like to be able to take advantage of pricing from vendors that we do not have accounts with. Stretch the budget even further.
You guys don't have debit cards with your checking accounts and
No.
stuff like that you can use?
No, the checking account belongs to the fire department, it has no connection to the budget.
What kind of limit are you looking for?
$1.5 million will work fine.
With
long as you.
I don't know, I would have to confer with Bonnie.
Well, what is our limit on our credit cards, 2,500?
No, it's 1,000, I think.
2,500.
It's 2,500,
That's what mine is anyway, I don't know about this.
but usually they don't spend that much, and if they do, it's usually something that they invoice us for. But
There'll be purchase orders connected to all purchases to that, with that.
But I recommend that they get the Wells Fargo card, just because during the day, they can use their account number. We have an account number for just fire department, I think it's 1016 or something like that they can use when they're open to go in and then we pay it through Juliaetta Market, which we did the 6125 this month with. But when it's late at night or weekends, or whenever they're not open and they need to do it, especially now that summer's coming in with fires
We
Like
lost,
we
we
did last
lost
year.
access to off-road diesel also.
Yeah, that's the next thing.
Yeah.
But you guys have no control over that one.
Would the card be issued to?
Mike,
Oh, I,
Because you can't just
You
get a.
can't get a fire-
or to the
Does
city.
Coleman
we
Oil?
can't do one
It
just
has
for
to
the
be to
city.
one person.
Yeah.
Oh, it has to be to a person, not a company.
We don't have to get a Coleman Oil.
Well, how do corporations
And we would have to get a slip tank.
We do it individually.
Well, you
Josh
can
has
go to
one,
Cameron,
Justin
yeah,
has one, I have one, she
Oh,
has
for the
one,
backhoe.
Dick has
Well,
one.
yeah, driving the backhoe there,
I see what
Now,
you're
the
saying.
state will do it where the, like, the director of a department has one in their name, and then other staff use it. I don't know if we wanna do that, I'm just saying.
That's why I said we can use Mike and then he can just,
Tell it, like who all would.
But there's only 3 of us, just like the former fuel carder, there was only 3 of us that were authorized to use it. And
Who are the 3?
myself, Clifford, and Joe.
yeah. But I don't think with the credit card, basically they'll just be putting it in the machine that you don't really need to sign or anything.
Right.
I just, get me my receipt.
I do.
Clifford?
I do, yes, dear.
Well, I move that the fire department can get a credit card with a $2,500 limit
In Mike's name?
in Mike's name with, only Clifford, Joe, and Mike allowed to use it.
I second.
All in favor? Passes.
Thank you.
We're going to the water
Okay,
as soon as we get it.
okay.
I don't make enough food.
Never went to the building bridge, what my mom always said.
okay, members of the council, I come to you requesting,
Thanks.
like a $2,000 budget to purchase a 16-foot trailer, flatbed trailer. It's something that we have needed for years and years and years. And there is a ton of them on the market right now, and everyone I've seen, well, there's some that for $2,000 you can get a pretty decent trailer.
Why do we need a 20-footer for, or 16-footer?
All of our pipe, that like when we do water replacements and, or water line replacements and sewer, it all comes in 20-foot sticks. And we have no way to get it out here unless it's delivered, and we can't,
Well, they deliver free.
but they don't deliver it when we need it. We've always needed a trailer. I had to
Well,
go.
when we get our new truck, all you have to do is throw it in the back of the new truck and haul it home.
No. Okay, no, the new truck, the bed isn't very long.
Thought I haul 20-foot stuff on top of my heater.
I know. Okay. So anyways, just throwing that out there.
I just need some air, thanks.
And then the water plant, we have 10 8-foot fixtures down there. Currently 3 of them work. It is getting dark down there. You can't see to work on anything. And we replaced all the lights at the water plant with LEDs.
Wastewater.
Or the wastewater
Yeah,
plant,
there you
sorry. And I priced out new LED lights, or bulbs, and we can use the existing fixtures. They just have to be bypassed, and we can use the existing fixtures. And it's $481 to retrofit.
We're sure that they work?
Yep.
Yes.
As long as they're T8 fixtures.
They did it at the grocery store.
HO
Wasn't
bulbs.
that, the Vista rebate thing at the grocery store?
Yep.
Well,
You can get her-
yeah,
you can get her rebate.
yeah, you got it for nothing.
Yeah, that applies to us as well?
Absolutely.
The electrician was there, Phil, that for Strong, he explained that you can switch out the ballast, there's one little thing you can
You just
do,
bypass the
Yeah,
ballast,
that's what I did.
and it will work, so,
as long as you've got HO bulbs.
You just unhook the ballast,
or some, he said there was a way.
You unhook the ballast, and then you wire the lines
It's
back to
direct connect or something.
Yeah,
but,
it's direct.
At the wastewater plant, I don't know what kind of bulbs we got or exactly what, but I just put them in some of the fixtures and they worked. Like, put them in and move them in. But the ones at the water plant are 8-foot lights, they're longer, and so,
And you can't get replacement bulbs for those anymore. They're illegal.
so, anyway, but the electrician said if we can buy the right bulbs, that they'll work, so.
And this is a quote for the correct bulbs and, yeah.
Well, LED, they only use about 1/10.
Yeah. Yep. Plus we'll get the rebate back from Avista, so it's a win-win.
Hey, can we, can we, at the fire hall piggyback you? No,
You
serious.
guys gonna make a motion for that part?
I'll motion for the lights.
We got the same problem.
You need yours, we'll better do this separate.
Okay.
So, but then we could do it, so all in favor of
The lighting?
the lights, all passes.
Council needs to discuss the trailer though before we move further. Since it's on the agenda.
You guys, how do you feel about that?
Well, just what's the real need? I mean, I was interested in the mayor's comments. Does the truck, will the truck, meet the needs? It'll be
Will it bring us a 20-foot stick home?
I don't know, that's what I'm asking.
The truck is a 10-foot bed, so we might be able to
It
do
would
some
be
hooks
strapped all
on
the way across it.
or do some hooks along the side so it runs up the side.
Well, then how often are you gonna use a trailer? How often are you replacing water lines and sewer, whatever you're talking about? Is it something that?
It varies. I had to go get a 16-foot post for the
Right,
guy
and
that
I
ran that deal down, and
borrowed his trailer.
thankfully Nick had a trailer also.
Well, I call that
The corrugated.
20-foot culverts,
Yeah.
home in the back of my pickup.
Well, some of those posts get a little heavy.
In the same way.
It's
as
just,
the
yeah.
sewer
I mean,
pumps.
do you think you'll really use it? I mean, will it be put to good use?
Yeah, we need a trailer quite often.
And where would this money be coming from?
Oh, are you looking at me?
Yeah.
Yes.
I think for hauling stop sign, or sign posts, it would be great, and I know at Ferguson, when I go in there, when you're trying to buy pipe, it's like going into Home Depot, and then you have to try to find a saw and cut your thing down so it'll fit in your car, and, I mean, it's kind of annoying, and especially, it seems like it usually is an emergency when we need to buy.
Can we take it?
And they can only bring it out on Thursdays or something like that,
But,
or Tuesdays.
You know, I don't know how, we probably, would use it twice a month maybe, or, I don't know. I
Do
don't
you
know.
have some like pictures or examples that you found?
Not on hand.
Well, why don't we table it for now until you can get us some more information on that, and then we can review it and see what we think as far as the use of it and the size.
Okay.
Would that work?
Yeah,
What do you guys think?
Sounds good.
You were asking where it would come from, because you would use it streets, park, water, and wastewater. We could take 500 out of each one.
So it would come out of that.
It would divide 4 ways.
Good, okay. So bring us some pictures, so we have ideas, and so make a motion to table until next month.
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Passes. Do we have the checklist?
Well, I did find, this one, I think I can email it to people. I don't remember how my email works. This is one that I found that would work. It needs a little tweaking. Could I just send it to you, Wendy, and could you just print it out? Would that be easier?
You can send it to my email, yeah, and I can go in and print it.
I'm sorry, I should have done that earlier. Oops. That's what I want. But it would just take a little tweaking, and
It's not about this.
Sorry.
It's about something
I
else.
should have said it before I was a little preoccupied.
What did I do? What did I do?
Well, not you. Can I, is the meeting still going? How do I get them? We're stopping there, steak, potatoes, and bacon.
I've always been on big squad.
Cookies I made yesterday. You want to acknowledge Jim, he's got something that's not to do with vanilla planning, so. French vanilla. He has a question.
We'll wait till the other two get back.
Oh, that's fine.
Did you send it?
I did. Did you not get it? I'm not connected to the Wi-Fi.
You can't just.
Where did Vicky go?
Or
Or outside car. She got a cold, didn't she?
Good.
Quit flirting with me, I'm not strong enough.
I didn't have to.
I'm a married woman.
My doctor's about it.
I can go home.
Kids said he's ready to go home, he's pretty tired sitting there.
Holding
Holding your chin out.
Water line one.
Yeah, well, yeah.
I would say it makes for a long day.
Show that one.
It doesn't exist anymore?
Right.
Okay. It showed up in Jim's deed there, I just put it on
Yeah,
there.
then when you look at it, you just have to look at.
Can we get some free legal advice?
That was been repealed.
Can we get some free legal advice?
Go ahead.
I don't have any. Was it
No, you got
or
the
something?
I know you have one of those
And
jobs
it's recorded on
that
there,
gets you involved.
everything else.
I wonder why there's a couple.
Oh, by the way.
You'd be surprised,
Yeah,
because
there's
most
only-
people don't
there's
like
only
what I have to
water.
say.
Oh, right. That's a good way to keep them from doing it.
I had a friend of mine saw me in public, and he said, hey, you're a lawyer, let me ask you. I got rear-ended by somebody, and now that his insurance company's calling me up asking me what I want to do.
I sent you a bunch.
What am I supposed to tell them? I said, well, they want to know what you want to settle the case for. He said, what do you mean? I said, well, did you get injured? Do you have ongoing injuries, or your medical? And he says, you know, that's the thing about you lawyers, all you ever talk about is money. And I said, hey, you ask a lawyer a question, he's probably gonna answer it.
Right.
Did Jim ask his question?
No. What was your question, Jim?
My question is, can I ask the question of all of you and show you statements without, and be legal doing it without the rest of the folks being here? The reason is because it's legal papers, and I would like to talk to the lawyer so he actually sees what the deal is, because he knows right from wrong, and there's no argument in it.
Go ahead.
I'm not familiar with the project.
No, that's all right.
What's happening? What's
Whoa,
happening?
wait a second. We need to confer with Wendy first.
Yeah.
What are we doing?
Jim wants to submit papers to the
I want to
lawyer
pass
after
the phone around.
after we
We
go
want
on
to pass it down to Josh.
motion to close out the conversation. Do we have the motion
I can't add anything to the agenda.
Yeah.
So no decision can be made.
No, I understand that.
He
I
just wants
understand that,
to,
but the thing
Just
is,
show us what he has.
he just wants to show us what he has, but he's not sure if he can do that without the rest of the people here from that area of town.
I would say,
I don't feel comfortable with it.
Yeah, he can submit it to the clerk, and if they decide they want me to look at it, then they'll send it on to me.
okay.
Okay.
But we can't give you an opinion on it here tonight.
No,
What do
I'm
you
not
think,
asking
Josh?
for that. I'm not,
Yeah, they can't even, you can't show it either. You need to just submit it to Wendy and Wendy's.
If we had, but that's if they were going to make a decision, right?
No, no, no.
no, I'm not asking.
Just to even look at it.
Okay.
It's not on the agenda, so it can't be any formal action.
Yeah.
Right, I understand that.
So just go ahead and submit those to Wendy, and then she can submit them to the attorney. I
And then
think would be
we'll
our
put a-
safest
We'll make
bet.
copies.
If that's what council or mayor wants to do. So you folks have to take a look at it first.
Yeah, I think we better take Wendy's advice and,
Justin, you wanna come look at this?
you know.
Yeah, come up here, Justin. This is the, we would make some.
And fortunately, you're in a really tough situation because some people can't resolve their issues, and it makes it hard for you.
That would be the check
Because you
sheet.
want to get past this.
So it'd be like a week-long sheet, you just, each day you just initial what you've done and then turn it
I
in
think
on
they moved
Friday.
on to something different.
Well, and,
They're talking about something different, I'm talking about what you had, that you
Well, that's
weren't
what I-
supposed to talk about.
But shall be well twice a day.
Well, like I said, we'd make some changes, we take the PM part of it off. But this kind of covers everything that I think should be checked, and we could make a few minor adjustments for like tobacco or whatever, because some of this stuff isn't gonna be relevant to everything. But this would give us a good base to start with.
I think it's,
It's
since everybody
actually-
can't see this, we need to table this.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, it's something
Are
that
these
needs to be
copies of your or do you need her to make
yes,
some?
there's,
Jim, we'll just have her add it to the agenda next month and have us look at all.
I'm
or
talking
not-
about the vehicle
Oh,
checklist.
sorry.
Is that
Excuse me,
what
I'm
we're
so
on?
sorry.
Sorry. I'm just
And I'll print one
asking
out,
those
I passed my
copies.
phone around, but
well, it's a whole different deal.
Well,
What I'm wanting to say is, and it's gonna be open, there's people that cannot make decisions. And the reason they can't make decisions is because they think we have to go to a court to do it. The thing is, when there is a title company that stated who has a senior deed and who has a junior deed, and there is footage on it, the senior deed is the one that gets it. And the problem is that somebody cannot listen to what a senior deed is or accept where a survey is, a legal survey, a warranted surveyor does his work and he turns it in. There's no way I can make somebody say, okay, so what I'm saying is, you can draw this out till eternity because somebody else disagrees. Do I have to wait on all this to go to judges and have them decide? Is that what you guys are saying? Or can an attorney look at it and see what a title company states to make it right? So see, I can't put that in paper and have him read it or anybody else. Something has to be said, and I'm not being argumentative, I'm just making a statement of what a title company said. Once a title company says it, and once a surveyor surveys it, there is no argument. Even though that surveyor is done and complete, and the line is where the line is, I could care less if anybody argues about it. It is what it is. And with everybody here, there was nobody hearing it. Until somebody said, nope, we're gonna table it till next month. You know what? Next month's come, and next month's come, and next month's come. It's time to say, this is from a title company, and the survey is done. That's all I'm saying. So is there something that somebody needs to read this? Do I need to, now that you know what the story is all about, can I just give this to you?
Wendy will take it and give it to you.
So that all has to do with number one, what you, Mark, what you were saying about, and that's what the rate was.
Do you need copies made of this?
No.
Is this your own copy, Jim? Do you need
No, we
those?
can have it.
Thanks,
There's
Jim.
copies.
If they
Thank
send
you.
it to me, I'll take a look at it.
No, that's fine.
Yeah.
Just so everybody understands, there is a line drawn in the sand and it's time to stop. And I don't want to wait for another doggone month when everything was already done and somebody said, hold it, there's too much argument. That's when that hammer used to go down and everybody said, shut up, sit down, sit down. And that's figure this out and grow up. Thanks.
Do you want me to print that off and actually look at it next month? Do you want to table that vehicle inspection checklist?
Whatever Josh and Justin feels, I mean, they're the ones that have to go over it too. I'm fine with however, whatever.
Well, I'll have to make some, we'll print it off and make some changes, and I'll get with them, and we'll make some changes, and then
Then we can bring it back.
bring back. So I move to table the vehicle inspection checklist until next month. We'll have a finalized copy.
I second.
All in favor? Passes. All right, Josh.
After the storm the other day, when we had that, I don't know if anybody saw that lightning strike at about 105, and it was right over us. Ever since then, the water plant does not run at all, not even, yeah. After some tinkering, we pulled all the actuators off of all the valves. We have no programming. The PLC quit working. And this was the, we can fix it for under $100,000 quote that I got. However, we've got Phil Stradley. But before I go there, the water plant, we are making water. We pulled all the actuators off. We are running it manually. We're opening valves. We've got extension cords ran for our chemicals. We're getting chlorination. We're backwashing. We're rinsing. We're able to do all that. We've figured out ways to do it. So it's extremely labor intensive to get that plant running and stay running. Anyways, Phil Stradley, our electrician, came out. Luckily, we have a copy of the program from ACS whenever they came out and did the updates. We have a copy of the program. Phil is getting a new PLC. PLC is pretty much the brain that has the programming in it and tells all the electronics what to do. He's getting an updated PLC because they don't make the PLC that we have anymore. And he is getting it programmed. We've got operating manuals and program manuals at the water plant. And he has those now, and he's going to be able to program that new PLC. We went from $60,000 to a couple $1,000, so that's extremely, it's great. Because our coagulant controller, it went down, and these electronics are meant to last 20 years. And we've had ours 26 years, and our coagulant controller PLC just went out, and now this one went out. And we got the last one fixed for $1,000. So that was pretty good. We relocated a water line for Carl Carter because there was a line across the bridge that they swore was leaking. So we abandoned that line, and Carl Carter is now running off a line that is on the other side of the highway. Last Thursday or so, no, I'm sorry. Thursday before last, some guy came down 4th Street in a lowboy semi and took out our post with skull flashes on it on the corner of 4th and Main. We've got a new post for it. We are trying to make time to work on that. We've got mowing and water plant issues right now, so we're getting to it as we can. We are going. I'm thinking we put the electronics on the other side of the highway. That way they don't get damaged. Because we can run them on that post on the other side, and we just have a post with the lights on it on this side, and maybe put a cement barrier or a post you know, a cement filled steel post. Anyways, that's going on, tank cleaning is going to happen the last week of June or the first week of July. And that is all I have.
So I talked to Amanda Baddoff from Layton County Solid Waste in regards to Mark's brush bin. So what had happened is Layton Inland North Waste now, this is their busy time of year for boxes, so they don't want to buy any more because they sit in the wintertime.